My name is Samantha Rich, and I will be presenting about my doctoral capstone project. It is entitled Enhancing Leisure Activity Engagement for Patients in an Inpatient Rehabilitation Facility. I completed my doctoral capstone project at Community Rehabilitation Hospital South, while I will be referring to it as CRHS throughout this presentation. The mission of CRHS is to maximize the health, function, and quality of life of those we serve through comprehensive physical medicine and rehabilitation programs. I completed a needs assessment on site, and there was a lack of patient participation in leisure activities in their time outside of therapy. The purpose of this project was to engage patients in leisure activities to improve the patient experience of time spent outside of therapy. CRHS is a 44-bed facility, and they commonly see diagnoses such as stroke, brain injury, neurological conditions, trauma, spinal cord injury, amputation, and orthopedic injury. CRHS has the Joint Commission's Gold Seal of Approval, and they are CARF accredited. After my needs assessment, we discovered that the most prominent need of the site for my doctoral capstone project is to engage patients in leisure activities without staff assistance. There's not enough staff at the facility to pair up patients and staff to work with them individually, so patients would need to have the activity with them and be able to complete it on their own. After conducting my needs assessment and kind of realizing what I wanted to do for my project of creating this leisure activity program, I did a literature review to help guide my reasoning through creating the project. So I wanted to know all about leisure activities and everything I could find out about it. And it was found that communal spaces may positively influence patient activity and mood during inpatient rehabilitation. Now, this was important for me to know because there are a couple spaces in the facility that I would be able to, put in activities where patients can gather with either their friends, family, caregivers, or other patients too to engage in those activities together. And then leisure activities are widely recognized as contributing to overall well-being, encompassing mental, physical, social, and emotional health. And additionally, leisure is a necessity for all individuals, regardless of their physical abilities. It can serve as a replacement for work and offers opportunities for creativity and social engagement. These two parts of research really helped me guide why I was completing this program and engaging these patients in leisure activities. It gave me that purpose. Another piece of research that I found that kind of helped me push forward with my project and find my why am I doing this is that Dorston et al. Found that leisure activities were associated with significant short-term positive effects, some psychological benefits for quality of life and mood. And when patients are in this rehabilitation facility, it's very lonely. They're only really out and communicating with people for those 3 hours of therapy a day. And finding those activities that they can do on their own outside of therapy when they're on their own is really important. When comparing the amount of leisure participation patients engage in pre-injury versus post-injury, there's a decrease in participation during brain injury rehabilitation. So another reason of why I'm not doing this project is to start increasing that leisure activity level in the rehabilitation facility so that when they get out, they can either maintain or increase it. We're addressing that before it becomes an issue later on. And then lastly, meaning-focused leisure practice emphasizes the value of people proactively leading the process rather than people being told what to do in a prescriptive way. So part of why I'm really passionate about this project is because it's different than what I found in the literature. In the literature, there were leisure activities in coordination with occupational therapists, and those occupational therapists really leading the way of that leisure activity, whereas this is more patient-driven. Patients are engaging in these activities on their own in their room. They're asking for these activities on their own and engaging in that way. I chose an occupation-based model and a frame of reference to guide my project. I chose the person environment occupation, or PEO, occupation-based model because it describes the dynamic transactional relationships between the person, the context of the environment, and the activities, tasks, and occupations that are performed within multiple social roles. This interaction is constantly changing and impacting each other. The lifespan frame of reference that I chose, focuses on the developmental tasks associated with each stage of life, with the goal of this frame of reference being to establish or restore occupations that are client chosen and age appropriate. So, under the frame of reference, I chose Daniel Levinson's Transitions of Adult Life theory, and it states that in between stages of stability, the person reevaluates the existing life structure and explores possibilities of changes and makes choices that will restructure their life. So, I chose PEO and Daniel Levinson's theory to guide the design and implementation of my project. Patients at CRHS were viewed from a wide lens to observe the transactional relationship between the person, environment, and occupation. Furthermore, these concepts were viewed while also keeping in mind what stage of life patients are in based on Daniel Levinson's theory. Patients in an inpatient rehab facility are experiencing a life altering disability, which can promote their evaluation of the existing life structure, including their interests and leisure pursuits. Here you could see how I combine the PEO occupation-based model and Daniel Levinson's stages of adult life theory combined into the same picture. So the person, environment, and occupation are what are part of the PEO model, and then I added the life structure into this diagram. So for the environment, it would be therapy staff, case management, caregiver support, family support, and nursing staff. The person is at a physical level, cognitive level, attitudes, personality, and preferences. And then occupation would be activities of daily living, work, instrumental activities of daily living, leisure, and social participation. And then finally, the life structure would be reevaluating life structure, exploring possibilities of change, and making choices that will restructure life. For the project design, I really wanted to do a pre-implementation survey for patients and staff, both nursing and therapy, because I wanted to understand their view on patient needs and wants concerning leisure activities. So for staff, of those surveyed, 90.9% reported that patients sometimes or often state that they have nothing to do during the day outside of therapy. And 87.9% reported that patients sometimes or often ask about activities to complete in their rooms. Staff were also asked about potential activities that patients would enjoy. They reported board games, cards, books, bingo, puzzles, knitting or crochet supplies, crafting supplies, coloring books, and painting. And overall, staff concern was really based around the long-term maintenance and staff follow-through of the program. The patients were also surveyed, and 54.6% reported that they always or often want to participate in activities in their room, and 54.6% reported that they always or often want to participate in activities outside of their room, meaning in other spaces with other people and all sorts of things. Patients expressed a desire for activities including Sudoku, crossword puzzles, solitaire, reading, cards, board games, and chess. In addition to the pre-implementation surveys with patient and staff, I really wanted to talk with administration to understand truly what project implementation program development would be like at an inpatient rehabilitation facility. The head of infection control, she really helped me understand what items and materials should be single use and which should be reused between patients. The chief nursing officer, or CNO, he outlined barriers to program implementation, methods to gain staff support, and nursing education strategies. And then I collaborated closely with the director of therapy, or DOT, during the program design stage because she provided valuable insight into her vision for the program, as well as potential obstacles that may arise and guidance through the program development process. And then finally, the chief executive officer, or CEO, I met with her once I created my budget, and she approved my budget and went through the supply purchasing process with me. So after all the pre-implementation surveys and working with administration, creating, approving, and buying all the supplies that we need, we are able to create a leisure activity program. So activity bins were created to house activities for patients to engage in activities independently in their rooms. The items in the bins were separated into isolation and non-isolation bins to ensure infection control. The items in the isolation bins were single use, but the ones in the non-isolation bins are reusable. Some of the items in the activity bins include decks of cards, puzzles, different types of brain teaser games, boggle, colored pencils, and an activity binder that's comprised of word searches, word scrambles, Sudoku, and coloring pages. A binder was put in the non-isolation bins with a reminder what is reusable and what is not. And then within this binder, there are sign out and sign in sheets to keep track of reusable items, kind of track what rooms they're going into, making sure they're getting back in the box. And then additionally, to identify items in the bins that need to be replenished or suggestions for new items that can be added, a labeled sheet was provided. And also for the communal space, patients were offered board games, puzzles, books, and DVDs in the day room, which they could engage in with other patients or visitors or caregivers. These activities were intended to remain in the day room, except for the books. There's no protocol for properly disinfecting books, so signage was posted so patients who choose to take a book keep it and can take it home with them. Signage was also provided for disinfecting games and puzzles after each use. Before beginning implementation, a location at each nursing station was identified for the housing of the bins. From the staff survey, 93.3% of respondents reported that the distribution of activities would be most convenient if they were housed in one location on each floor of the building. The program was implemented initially by educating the nursing staff during their morning huddle, which was a method suggested by the CNO. Additionally, those not working for the shift, I created an information sheet to be posted next to the bins so that people knew what they were about if they weren't in that meeting. Therapy staff was educated on the program through email and also educated on the importance of educating their patients as well. And then patients were educated not only through therapy staff, but there was a flyer in their admission folder. For the project outcomes, I did a staff post-implementation survey and a patient satisfaction survey, and I got qualitative and quantitative results from both of those surveys. For the patient satisfaction survey for the qualitative results, I did a thematic analysis and found out that patients overall enjoyed the activities because they were engaging, kept their hands and minds busy, and they were mentally challenging. Patients suggested some improvements, which were partnering up with other patients. During therapy, sometimes we have groups, and patients make connections in those groups. And a couple patients talked about wanting to meet up again with those same patients in their group and work on these activities with them. Also, they would like improved advertising. For the quantitative results, of the people that were surveyed, 58.5% used the leisure activities, and the majority of those who asked for leisure activities reported that they sometimes or often asked for additional activities. All the patients who participated reported a satisfaction level of a 4 or 5 on a 1 meaning low and 5 being high scale, which suggests that the program was effective overall in improving the patient experience during non-therapy time. After the staff post-implementation survey was conducted, I did a thematic analysis to understand the barriers that staff experienced to implementation. So for the nursing staff, the main barrier reported was that patients express initial interest in the activities, but they may be too tired at that time to participate, and then they don't request them later. Um, Also, the therapy staff reported that there are time constraints during therapy sessions, which increase forgetfulness. So during therapy sessions, practitioners are so focused on skilled services that they don't really remember to educate their patients on the program. And then there were also suggestions for improvement by staff, and overall, they would like increased staff education and increased advertisement. For the quantitative results for the staff post-implementation survey, 81.8% of respondents reported that they did educate patients on the program. And then most of those who educated patients reported that patients sometimes asked for additional activities to complete. And then of the people that did not educate patients on the program, 50% of them didn't know about the program, and then 50% forgot about the program. In conclusion, this program was successful in improving the patient experience during downtime. This program can adjust over time and continue to fit patient needs because it was created with a sustainable design in mind, so things can be easily added or taken away just to maintain patient satisfaction. Suggestions for improvement were increasing signage and education for patients, also increasing education for staff, and then also having inter-patient socialization and pairing people up to do activities together. This program has future implications because if it continues, you can create specialized activities for people with low vision and tetraplegia who were not able to initially participate in the program during its first implementation period.